Hello everyone. Here is Jack, narrating the motion picture, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The cutting-edge Marvel sequel is as multi-furnished as Specialist Bazaar doing magic. Contemplate the number of properties that are being continuation in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's a spin-off of Doctor Strange, albeit in that you presumably need to, by a hair, have seen that film, not exactly the peculiar experiences that followed. It's a continuation, Avengers, Endgame, and Spider-Man, Not Way Home, in that it references activity in the two movies and extrapolates fairly on the universe-saving choice that the title character made in the previous. It's a lot of a spin-off of WandaVision, the show that extended the Wanda true-to-life universe into TV. What's more, for a specific age, it's sort of a continuation of when Sam Raimi was one of the most boss movie producers alive. Maybe these loyalties are at the foundation of why Multiverse of Madness never fosters its own character and profundity. It's a Franken-movie, a blockbuster sewn together from bits of different movies, comic books, and television programs and given existence with the power of a Marvel financial plan. After a horrendously long development, Doctor Strange 2 inches picks up some speed thanks to Raimi's visual energy, however even that runs out. You truly can't return home once more. Spoilers will be extremely light. Simply sit back and relax. Dr. Stephen Abnormal is going to the wedding of his solitary love Christine Palmer, Rachel McAdams, when disorder emits in the road outside, and the way that Michael Stuhlbarg's name is on the banner for his single, early film scene at the wedding feels like a specialist's upset. A gigantic octopus-like animal is pursuing a young lady named America Chavez, Xochitl Gomez, across aspects, causing turmoil en route. Peculiar and Wong, Benedict Wong, jump right into it to save the young lady and discover that America is looked for her capacity to navigate imaginary worlds, in spite of the fact that she can't actually control when she does as such. Odd suspects that black magic might be involved, which drives him to look for the direction of Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen, who is as yet staggering from the deficiency of her kids toward the finish of the Disney Plus show and captivated of the insidious Darkhold, a book of detestable spells that Raimi fans will presumably note seems to be the Necronomicon. Wanda will take the necessary steps to reside in the universe where she actually has her kids, in spite of the fact that Vision's presence is scarcely referred to, which releases mayhem for Odd, Wong, and America that includes Mordo, Chiwetel Ejiofor, a couple of exemplary characters, and, all things considered, a few new faces with recognizable names. There's a grouping moderately right on time in Multiverse of Madness, wherein Peculiar and America fly through imaginary worlds, including one that looks vivified and one where their bodies are made of paint. I got energized. I figured after what felt like a wearisome setup that Raimi and company were going to explode the Wanda recipe machine and make a surprisingly realistic film that felt like Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse. Envision that. A visual craftsman like Raimi with a cutting-edge MCU financial plan and complete artistic liberty. You'll need to envision it since this film isn't keen on that sort of potential. Multiverse of Madness is a film that continually stands up against its own potential outcomes. It has a plot that might have imaginatively shocked watchers again and again with new minor departure from the actual idea of a world with legends in it and a chief ready to go there. In any case, it's obviously a result of a substance machine, battling against its own personal matters since distancing any of the large numbers of potential viewers is frightened. The feeling that these films just pretend interest in being strange when they're comparably ordinary as can be makes them all the seriously baffling. Both WandaVision and Loki faced more imaginative challenges. essentially, which makes it a situation with two sides when the Sam Raimi who coordinated Spider-Man 2 and Evil Dead 2 inches comes join the fun partially through and afterward truly gets moving in the last venture. Without spoilers, Multiverse of Madness begins to include the strolling dead, and the Raimi who changed the ghastliness classification demonstrates he actually has some life left in him. There are some imaginatively arranged and executed activity successions in Multiverse of Madness, that just might have been made by the overseer of Drag Me to Hell, and those minutes are effectively the film's features and nearly salvage it. One simply wishes it didn't take such a long time to get to them and that they weren't fastened to a film that time after time has no clue about how to manage that energy. Rather than letting Multiverse of Madness take innovative flight, the story continues to return to amazingly shallow person qualities like Wanda's pain, Odd's implicit love for Christine, or America's vulnerability about her own powers. None of these reverberate. The person's circular segments here are so surprisingly powerless that the exhibitions endure as well. Cumberbatch is fine, yet he's a survivor of a film that is so plot-weighty that he's for the most part running starting with one CGI succession then on to the next. Furthermore, I'm anxious to see how the magnetic Gomez can manage a lot more grounded character. Tune in. I know MCU motion pictures aren't by and large places for profound person work. I'm trying to say it's significantly more shallow here than ordinary, particularly taking into account how the ordinarily dependable Olsen nailed this person in her past trip. It's miserable to see her and the person make a stride back as opposed to investigating the thoughts in the show that bore her name. When that Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was taking out the universe-twisting scenes that will presumably be ruined by Friday evening, I began to contemplate whether there's a limit to these CGI bashes that serve such countless different properties they neglect to be fascinating all alone. There have been objections about MCU properties that vibe like they exist simply to get individuals inspired by the following film or network program, however it's never felt such a lot of like a snake eating its own tail as it does here. Or if nothing else the spell has worn off for me.